Hello students, I am Mukesh Kumar Meena. Welcome to the class. Today we will discuss the distinctive qualities of Emerson as an essayist. Ralph Waldo Emerson was one of the most important figures in the history of American literature. He lived through the age known as the flowering of America. He had the distinction of being the man thinking of the New England Renaissance. He was the sage of Concord and the father of American transcendentalism. Emerson was a voluminous writer and he has 10 volumes of essays to his credit. His essays first series appeared in 1841 and essays second series in 1854. The important essays in first series are Self-Reliance, The Oversoul, Compensation, Spiritual Laws, Friendship and History. The important essays found in second series are The Poet, Experience and New England Reformers, etc. The essay The American Scholar was published as an address in 1837 and the Divinity School address in 1838. Emerson is quite different from the English essayists like Addison, Lamb, Hazlitt, Arnold or Stevenson. He was primarily a philosophical thinker. He was transcendentalist who believed that God pervades the whole universe. In fact, Emerson's essay is not an essay in the conventional sense. It is the essay of the transcendentalist. Spiller says that the new form which Emerson developed is neither wholly essay nor wholly lecture. Its unit is the carefully wrought sentence. Each contains in crystalline suspension the whole meaning of the essay. As Marcus Cunliffe has pointed out that his essays are twice born. Out of the journals came the lectures and out of the lectures came the essays. His essays strike one as being oratorical, for they are all reworked lectures. They are very much like Bacon's essays, dispersed meditations. When at his best he becomes aphoristic and his prose style acquires an epigrammatic terseness, finish and polish. According to Brownell, Emerson's essays are the scriptures of thought. Every statement stimulates thought because it is suggestive as well as expressive. Everything means something additional. Every thought is potent rather than purely reflective. Thus, scripture of thought is the foremost characteristic of Emerson's essays. To open anywhere, any of the volumes of his essays is to open at once in the world of thought in a very particular sense. Emerson seems inspired in his essays, and the mood of inspiration is the proper mood to read him. Very soon the reader begins thinking in his diction. Emerson creates an ideal world of moral thought, which is superior to mere understanding and the senses. Quite early in his career, Emerson began to note down his thoughts in his journals, diary or memorandum books, and he continued to do so up to the end of his days. These journals are the raw material for the finished product of lectures and the essays. Therefore, his essays have a remarkable consistency of thought. There may be elaboration, but the basic thought in his essays and lectures remains the same. The essays reveal growth and evolution, but no real change in the thought content. Emerson's essays are steeped in sublime thoughts. His essays, The Poet, The Oversoul, Self-Reliance, The American Scholar, contain sublime thoughts. His essays are replete with his wisdom. He was an intellectual, a deep thinker, and an eloquent speaker. His essays contain deep thoughts which runs to the readers for these personal rights. Thoreau, Emerson, Whitman, they were all good citizens of the 19th century and of the West. All the three writers built on Native American material and embodied American attitudes, especially the concepts of individualism and self-reliance. Emerson always wrote from his own convictions. His true guide was the inner voice, the voice of his own conscience. He looked within his own heart and wrote with a perspicacity of prophetic vision and a compelling vigor and sincerity. This is why in Emerson's writings one encounters the true spirit of American civilization. its preoccupation with individual liberty, individual judgment, and insatiable love for adventure. W. F. Taylor writes about Emerson that to read through his essays, poems, and journals is to explore a range of speculation only less amazing than Goethe's. Here, in the recorded mind of Emerson, are fruits from all past cultures, strangely reconciled, often strangely transformed beneath the pale glow of his transcendentalism. Emerson's style for writing essays is philosophical. The world of phenomena is lifted to the plane of principle. A man should learn to detect and watch the gleam of light it flashes across his mind. From within, Emerson's vision draws philosophical conclusions for the readers. The essays of the English are short, but Emerson's essays are very long. His essays are as a vast treaty of nature in which multitudes of arguments and illustrations jostle one another for existence. On the basis of their form, his may be called lectures. Some of them may be called treatises or orations. The body of his essay is vast. It contains various topics under the main title. The essay, The American Scholar, covers about 15 pages. It talks about the major influences on the American scholar and about his duties. It is in a way American intellectual declaration of independence. The essay represents Emerson at the exuberant beginning of his career as a transcendental spokesman. It was an address that Emerson delivered before the Phi Beta Kappa Society at Harvard University in August 1837. It gives a concrete expression to Emerson's philosophic system. The essays remained revolutionary in bringing American flowering. Emerson's claim to greatness and permanence as an essayist rests on three solid foundations. First, he treats of elemental things of nature, love, friendship, heroism, self-reliance, in which all men are forever interested. Secondly, he treats these themes in an independent way, speaking straight from his own convictions and always appealing to the nobility of our human nature. Thirdly, his words seem as vital now as when they first came from his lips. His readers, his fame, and his inspiring influence increased with the passing years. While Emerson's merits as an essayist are many and his permanence is assured, his essays also suffer from well-marked shortcomings. There are inspiring lines and passages, but taken as a whole, they lack in coherence and organization. The thought is not logically developed. The essays are loosely constructed. They are not finished works of art, but contain the raw material for great art. That is why they have been called a chaos full of shooting stars by Lowell. Like an oracle, he delivered inspired ideas rather than closely knit arguments. His paragraphs are not based on any logical sequences. As soon as he is in a position to complete a paragraph, a new vision comes up and ideas form themselves into a cycle. In the opinion of Spiller, Emerson is a writer who is artistic but not an artist. Emerson is said to have got no sense of composition. He is accused of writing loose sentences with no sense of syntax. When he starts elaborating his ideas, his sense of form disappears and continuation becomes illogical. Incoherence is the result of it all. Emerson neglects, moreover, certain important sources of literary power. The common human feelings, those dynamos of humanity, seem to be completely absent from his calm discourses. His interest lies too completely in the world of ideas, and even when he translates these ideas into the most concrete and homely terms, they remain fundamentally ideas, not things of flesh and blood. We miss in Emerson what we find in Shakespeare and even in Melville, a world where people live heartily in the flesh, sleeping, feeding, and laboring, a world where men struggle, hate, and love intensely and acutely. But we conclude that Emerson was a great American essayist, a great scholar, and a great thinker. Matthew Arnold said about his essays that Emerson's essays are, I think, as they seem to the wisest English critic of the 19th century, the most important work done in English prose. Thanks for watching and listening the video. Thanks.